Hello, this is Alleen Lindley. I'm the Vice President of Community Outreach for the League of Women Voters of the San Antonio area. And we're here today with the Community Outreach Committee to share with you information on how to volunteer for community outreach. With me today is Nicole Lehman, Mary Deroff, Jan Tolbert, and Jan Olson. We're going to start with talking about the League in a general sense. The League is a nonpartisan organization. This means that we do not support nor oppose any political party or candidate. This is our superpower. This is the thing that gives us our credentials as we go out into the community and talk with potential voters. The vision of the League of Women Voters of San Antonio is to we envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. And our mission is to encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government, working to increase the understanding of major public policy issues and influencing public policy through education and advocacy. The part that's highlighted in red, encouraging informed and active participation of citizens in government, is the particular mission of the Community Outreach Committee. This is what we focus on and what all of our activities are centered around. We help voters at every stage. We want to get them registered to vote. We want to provide them with information about what's on the ballot and the candidates that they are voting on. We want them to actually make a plan to vote and have information about the different ways that they can exercise their right to vote. And then we actually want them to follow through and go to the polls and vote. Volunteers for the League of Women Voters San Antonio Community Outreach are a very important part of our process. And what it takes to volunteer for us is to have the desire to empower voters and defend democracy, enjoy sharing information, have the ability to present information in a nonpartisan way, be willing to convey accurate information about voting in our county, and to, for some events, it is needed that you have your volunteer deputy registrar certification, and we have information about how to access that. That is required for some events and some volunteers. Volunteers do not absolutely have to have that credential to be a part of what we do. As I said, we encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government. This is part of the mission of the League of Women Voters, and we connect with voters in a variety of ways. We participate in marches, we do tabling events, we do presentations. So there are lots of ways that you can help us reach this mission. We have several documents that are available to educate voters in a variety of topics. We have our frequently asked questions about voting in elections, our Bill of Rights, a number of brochures. These are all available on the League website, LWVSA.org. You can review those there, or when you show up for a volunteer event, all of these documents will be available for you. We also have election-specific documents that we pass out to give people information about the particular election election cycle that we're in. And so these are also available at the particular events, the tabling events, the community outreach events that we hold. Now you're going to hear about some of our events from our committee members.
All right, this is Nicole Lehman, and I am one of the co-chairs of the Youth Voter Outreach Committee, which is a subcommittee of our community outreach. And we formed in January of 2024 to really focus more energy and attention on our youth voters, because we know that when people make it a habit to start voting young, they will become lifelong voters. And in that effort, we do spend most of our time with college age students, but we do also do some work in high schools as well. Those usually are tabling events, and we're going to talk about what it looks like when we are an event, and all of these brochures that Aline was talking about, and all of the different information is always available at a tabling event. We go a step beyond that, where we also bring a practice voting machine. So since we are focusing on likely first-time voters, we want to really ensure that they have every step along the way managed, that they are registered, that they do know about our resources, and that they feel confident going in to actually vote. So that they will follow through. So we focus on those events, and we have plenty, especially leading up to elections. And the other aspect of our committee is we can organize tours for students with Bexar County elections. So the Bexar County elections officials will lead those tours, but we will have a league member who will greet people and just kind of give our information as well while those students are checking out how Bexar County elections works.
I'm Jan Olson, and I'm going to talk to you about one of our newest projects. The Community Outreach Committee earlier this year started the Senior Outreach Project. And we did that because of our concern about changes in the law and how they affect mail-in voting, which is an option that so many seniors choose. And the vast majority of them are unaware of these options. So our concern was that it would impact their privilege to vote. So what we've been doing is visiting multiple senior centers throughout the community. Up to this date, we have visited about 30 to 35 sites and had about 800 conversations with seniors. Now, what our visits entail is we do about a 30-minute presentation on the changes in the law so that seniors are aware of them. And we also review what the mail-in application looks like and what the actual ballot looks like, so that when they receive that ballot, that they are confident and empowered, and they will be able to fill it out. And so we are continuing to get invitations to go to senior centers. So we will always need volunteers to help with this just incredibly satisfying volunteer opportunity.
Hello, I'm Mary Deeroff, and one of the things that we do is we have been permitted to attend every naturalization ceremony that happens in Bexar County. So these are people who've gone through a long process. They came here legally. They took a test, went through a years-long process to become United States citizens. So once they become a U.S. citizen, there is a naturalization ceremony, and we will be there. We have a special brochure called Voting in Texas, a Guide for New Citizens, that explains voting for the first time. And we offer voter registration at these ceremonies. Now, some of the ceremonies are held at the federal courthouse, and these events are different from our other voter outreach events. You can see that we're all wearing our league shirts, and these are kind of casual for when we're just out in the community. But when we're going to a naturalization ceremony, you would not believe how wonderfully people dress. And so we want to honor them, and we wear, kind of business attire, maybe a dress, maybe a nice, set of slacks. But we don't wear our t-shirts and we don't wear jeans. We try to make it special for them because this is a very special day for them. And if you volunteer for that, I'll give you a lot of instructions so that you'll feel very comfortable with it. Oh, let me go back. other than the federal courthouse, we also have ceremonies at the USCIS office, which is United States Citizen and Immigration Service. And if you're ever looking for it, don't be surprised. It's a small office in a strip center. It's between a Home Depot and a Planet Fitness. So you're not in the wrong place. That's where they are. We'll be in one room in there. And those are administrative ceremonies. They go a lot faster, but it's still really special. So we also work the crowded events. Once the deadline for voter registration has passed, the next thing we do is try to get out the vote, let people know, when early voting starts, how to find our nonpartisan voters guide, Vote 411, where they can see information on candidates with no editing, just great resources. So we share our resources. So we'll show up in parks, and just as people are doing their walks, we'll say, would you like a bookmark to find out about, voting in the next election? And those have been really successful. People are really glad to have the information. The food bank, they have massive distributions at a football stadium, and we'll have thousands of people come through within a couple of hours. And they are all lining up, waiting to get their food distribution. And so we're going to each car, giving them information. We don't have time to actually fill out a voter registration form, but we can give them a mail-in form, and we can give them lots of information. And then once the line starts moving, we're done, because that's a safety hazard. We don't want to get hit by a car. So the more volunteers we have for that, the more people we can reach. So you'll see a lot of slots on those food bank ones. And then community events. We go to libraries. We go basically anywhere somebody asks us. And we go out and find other events where a lot of people are going to gather and say, hey, can we be part of your resource fair? Or can we, can we come here? We've been to the Pearl Farmers Market and other places. So wherever people gather, and they're really delightful. They're glad to get our information. So setting the stage for a tabling event. This is a picture when we were at the Spurs facility, where the Spurs play their games, when they had a back to school event. There were, the first year, 5,000 people that came through. Second year, 6,000 people that came through. So it's a busy event. So we usually have these acrylic sign holders that are pertinent to current things going on. We have a really nice banner that attracts people to our table and shows them this is not just voter registration, because a lot of times when they see our table, they'll say, I'm already registered, and they walk on by. And it's like, but do you know about our nonpartisan voters guide? Would you like a reminder to know when that goes live? So there's just all kinds of ways we can interact with people. We'll have the bookmarks, the election specific documents. We'll have, of course, the clipboards for voter registration. And we're really careful to keep everybody's information private. We don't let anybody else see it. These acrylic display holders, these are like three-tiered that hold some of our brochures, and we've got the tablecloth and runner. And believe it or not, all of this fits in a little rolling cart. It doesn't take a He-Man. I can carry it. So it's usually the lead, that whoever takes the lead position for an event will bring those supplies. So the way we recruit people for our volunteer activities is we use a platform called Sign Up Genius. It's the volunteer opportunities are also on our website, but if you click the link on the website, it's going to send you to Sign Up Genius, and this is what you're going to see. So we have a tabbed group so that you can see all the different current events, and you can scroll across the top and see all the tabs, and then you click on a specific tab and it'll give you all the information for that event. And there's a little button you push where you can sign up to work that event. And there'll be a lead position for somebody really experienced. It's going to bring the materials. And we're going to go into that on a further slide. Now, if you're looking on your cell phone, it's going to look like this. And see this drop down box? If you hit that, it's going to show you all the current events that are available. And then once you choose the one you want to look at, you just hit go, and it'll show you all of the details, and it will let you sign up. So this is computer and this is cell phone. So I was getting ahead of myself earlier. So the volunteer roles, the event lead, that is for somebody who's really experienced, okay? They know all the materials. They're willing to bring the supplies. They're willing to deliver the completed voter registration applications to the Bexar County election officials, so every volunteer doesn't have to make the trip. A VDR is a volunteer deputized registrar. You've got to, be registered through Bexar County to be able to sign the voter registration forms. And then this VDR, non-VDR helper, anybody who's interested in promoting information about elections or helping in the democratic process can fill that slot. And I never put a non-specified, but we may in the future. So event leads, one of us, a committee member, will arrange with the lead to get them the supplies that they need. I will be able to send you a list of all of the volunteers and their contact information that are supposed to be working the event for you, so that if somebody texts you and says, hey, I'm going to be late, you know who they are. So they take the kit and set up, and the other volunteers are going to help you. Some of our outdoor events actually require a big canopy that takes several people to set up, but there are always other vendors at the outdoor events that will help you get the tent up, the canopy up. And that usually means bringing a table and chairs and everything. So that's a little heavier lift, but you always have help. If we can find the host, we always thank them for letting us be there and offering our resources, and they're usually very glad to have us. They're always very glad to have us. So the lead also collects data for the event. We have an event summary form, and so we keep track of how many conversations we had, how many voter registrations we did. A lot of the resource fairs, you'll make contacts with another group and they'll want you to come out and table at another event. So all that data goes on this form, and then we're able to do an impact statement for all of our donors and say, this is the impact we had. The lead orients the new volunteers, and this seems like a lot of material to cover, but don't be overwhelmed. If you're new to this, just choose one thing that you want to focus on until you get comfortable with that. And the other people at the table are going to help you out. They're going to mentor you, and you're eventually going to get comfortable with all of the different things we do, but don't feel like you have to do it all at once. I mentioned before that the lead will take the voter registration applications to the county and then return the kit to one of the community outreach members. This is the documentation. One thing I want to point out is it has an emergency contact number for all of the volunteers. So if somebody starts getting sick while they're at an event, we know who to contact. We just really value our volunteers. We want to take really good care of you. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You just fill out all the blanks. So representing the league, you will get a League of Women Voters t-shirt. And at most of the events, this is what we use, except at the naturalization ceremonies. If you don't have one, just wear a plain shirt. It cannot have messaging from any other organization, and it absolutely cannot have information about a candidate, because we are not trying to influence how people vote. We just want them to vote informed and know their rights. We are nonpartisan, and your shirt has to reflect that. No caps with any political messaging on it. And no other organization, even if you volunteer with another organization that shares the same goals, when you are working with us, you are representing the league. We'll give you a name tag. You'll get familiar with the materials. It might be easier for you to look over our materials on our website before you show up, so that you just know what you'll be able to hand out. This is a hard one. Refrain from political discussions. Anybody who does this kind of work is enthused about democracy and probably has strong opinions. But when we are representing the league, there are no political discussions while you're wearing your shirt or while you're at our voter outreach table. So we already went over that. And my last slide, we need volunteers. I've already talked to you about, we attend the naturalizations, we do the senior events. We just finished doing a lot of back to school events. I lost count of how many, but hundreds of people or thousands of people show up through that. So you have a real impact. You're talking to a lot of people, and we always have things to attract the children to the table, like future voter stickers, bookmarks that are patriotic that they can color and then use as a bookmark. We go to resource fairs. They're all over the city. Community events. We've been to SoFlo Market. We've been to farmers markets. We go at wherever crowds are gathered. Nicole already talked to you about the college and high school events. We mentioned the food bank distribution. Oh, this is one. If you're not comfortable talking to people, we need people. We print thousands of bookmarks and election specific information, and we need people to drive around town distributing them. So there will be a sign up genius where you choose which part of town you want to go to, and then you'll distribute the resources that they ask for to those addresses. And we give you all the information, all the contact information, everything. So once again, you can link to our volunteer opportunities through our website. And if you ever need to contact the Community Outreach Committee, this is the email to use. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to the next presenter.
Okay, and that would be me. Can you advance the slides for me? Okay, engaging voters. I would say probably the most important thing about engaging voters is you need to present with joy and enthusiasm and really make people feel very welcome when they come up to your table. And probably one of the best ways to do that is just to stand in front of the table and be very present and be very welcoming when people come up. And as Mary really did a good job talking about being nonpartisan, and we all develop our own responses over time. We just sort of give you general guidelines. If someone comes up and wants to have a political conversation with you, really just emphasize that the League is very committed to our nonpartisan identity and that we're not able to do that. And one of the approaches that probably doesn't work real well is if someone comes up to just say, "Are you registered to vote?" Okay, sometimes that can inspire maybe a feeling of defensiveness. And what we're providing are guidelines. You will develop your own style after you've done this for a while. I know that when people come up to me, I'll say, "I'm Jan, I'm with the League of Women Voters." And we are here to support you, the voter. And we do that by providing you with really important information about upcoming elections. And we can also do voter registration if that's needed. And really just keep the emphasis on them. I mean, ultimately, you want to help that person feel good about voting and to feel good about themselves. And so just engage them in conversation. And if they say that they're already registered to vote, I find that most people are very open when you say, well, that's great. And I have some really great materials that will help you in the upcoming elections. Next slide. Okay, so these are some of the things that we hear, that we develop responses to. And like I said, we don't want to be scripted and robotic about this. So as you do this over time, you'll figure out what works best for you. So these are some questions that can engage voters. Are you ready to vote? Do you have the information you need to vote? And even if you're registered to vote, a lot of people are not registered at their current address, and we encounter this a lot. And then ultimately, can I share information about the upcoming election? And one of the most engaging things for me is our bookmarks that have information about vote411.org. I find when I talk to people about the specifics of Vote 411, they are very just, surprised and really happy to have this resource. And so we have many, many materials that you can use to begin a conversation, whether someone is registered to vote or not. Next slide.
Okay, I'm going to take it from here. My name is Jill Torbert, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that come up while you're having conversations with people. Before I get into this slide, though, I do want to sort of wrap up something that has been mentioned, and that's Vote 411. If you are not familiar with Vote 411, it is a National League website that is loaded with candidate information approximately 2 weeks before early voting starts. We ask the candidates questions. We don't spin their answers. We simply load that information onto the website. The neat thing about the website is you put in your address and it only pulls up the information and the races that you are going to see on your ballot. Believe me, when you tell people that they can do that, they are astounded and have been looking for this tool for years. And so we are very, very proud of the fact that the league can offer that. And so that's why we are continually mentioning Vote 411, and we certainly promote it out in the community. Now, back to somebody standing right in front of you, and the conversation has gotten around to whether they are registered or not. And you can tell sometimes people want to say yes, but they're really not sure. And so you have the power in your hand on your cell phone to actually find out that information. So you can check at elections.bear.org to see if they are registered. And this blue box down in the left corner will show you what will be up on your screen. That's the date of birth and the house number. It's really odd, but all they ask for is the house number. And that pulls up whether people are registered here in Bexar County. Now, sometimes people, believe it or not, aren't sure of the house number. And so another tool is votetexas.gov. Their access to the voting registration rolls are a little bit different. You actually have choices as to the information that you can plug in to double check on voter registration. So these are two tools that you should become familiar with and be able to help voters with that information. As has been mentioned, a lot of times people will say, well, I'm already registered, and they actually start to walk away because that they think that that is the only thing that we are doing at our table. But we are, in fact, doing so much more. And so if that's sort of the response, we'll be sure that they are really registered at their current address. And if they are not, we can help them with that. We'll have the forms in order to change their address. Some people will gladly say, oh my gosh, I want to register. Well, we should make sure that they are living in Bexar County before they go through the process of filling out the form, because most of us VDRs are only able to register people in Bexar County, unless as a VDR you have gone to the surrounding counties and gotten certified. You're only going to be able to register people who live in Bexar County. So always double check that. Sometimes, as I've already mentioned, they might think that they're registered but not sure, so we can check. Some people are in a hurry and want to just fly by you. We always have mail-in applications so that they can take it with them and do them when they have a little bit more time. A few people, but not many, will say that voting is not their thing. And, you know, we're not in the business of trying to turn somebody's arm around their back at all. But you might have a polite response that says, well, you know, it's important, you know, and lead them, try to lead them down the path to vote. But really, if people are resisting, you're probably not going to change their mind in the time that you have in front of the table. And then a few people might indicate that they aren't happy with any of the candidates, and you may want to encourage them to think about some issues that are important to them and which candidate most closely matches your view on the issue. But I will say, in the several years that I have been doing this, most conversations, I'd say 99.9% of the conversations are incredibly pleasant. People are very helpful and very appreciative of the fact that we are out in the community and doing this. So don't feel like you're going to be, you know, that people are going to be rude to you, because really that is not what happens out in the community. The final thing I want to talk with you about is our election reminders. So we have these wonderful election reminders. It is actually a little booklet. You can't tell that on the screen, but it's four-sided. And the front page is simply, you know, do you need a reminder? Inside, there are places for them to fill out their names, address, email address. And what we will do is send them 3 reminders. As you see on this slide, we let people know that Vote 411 is live. We then send them a second reminder that says early voting has begun. And then we also remind them that tomorrow is election day. Now they can either fill out the form right there in front of you and hand it back to you, or you see that there is a QR code. And the QR code is actually our preferred method of doing this, in that we don't have to worry about mistakes. When people handwrite the form and hand it back to you, be sure and look at it and make sure that the handwriting is legible. It's a real problem, but if you catch it before they walk away, you can correct it or make it so that you or someone else can read it. And so this is just a great way to allow us to contact people for each election and remind them that, hey, go vote. We do not use the data for any other purpose within the league, and we certainly do not sell the information. And I think that's where I'll hand it off to Aline.
So we need volunteers. As Jill has said in the past, our impact is limited to our outreach. And so to expand our outreach, we need more arms. And as volunteers, you are the arms of the League of Women Voters Community Outreach. So you can go to the LWVSA.org to sign up for volunteer opportunities. You'll see this picture. It says Community Outreach Volunteer Opportunities, and then a purple button that you can click to access all the list of the events, You can also get to a calendar view if that's something that you would prefer to look at. We are adding events every day to our calendar, and we greatly appreciate the support that you would give us in these efforts. This is the community outreach email, and so you can communicate with us at this site to ask questions, to say, hey, I'm not getting the emails about the event. Send me, add me to your list. Send me the email soliciting volunteers. Any other questions that you have, and we can get your questions answered. We want you to volunteer. We want our outreach to be as broad and as expansive as we can make it. So we greatly appreciate your time and listening to this video, and we hope that you have a great day.